1991 didn't just have a few new titles, it also had a few new tape masters as well. Starting with Dumbo. Now, what do I mean by a new tape master? I mean that instead of just rehashing the old tape masters that had been on the original releases, so the wonky 1984 Walt Disney Classics logo, these videos would all get the revamped 1991 Walt Disney Classics logo. Not only that, but they would ship out the sticker labels for ink labels. And this one was April 13th, 1994, around the last legs of the Classics collection. And Dumbo would retain this tape master until the Walt Disney Masterpiece Collection opened in late 1994. Alice in Wonderland also received the new tape master at this point. No trailers were on any of these tapes. It was just the red FBI warnings, the Classics logo, as well as an added Buena Vista logo to Dumbo and Alice in Wonderland, who earlier on had simply just skipped it. September 1st, 1993. And last but not least of these new tape masters was for The Sword and the Stone, who also, as you can tell, had the new artwork given to it in 1989 to fit more in line with what Disney was doing back in the 1980s and 90s. Wanted to make it stand out a bit more, if you will. And The Sword and the Stone and Alice in Wonderland, they would all retain the same tape masters. Another proof of purchase below there, April 13th, 1993. These would remain the same tape masters until all three would be added to the Walt Disney Masterpiece Collection line in October of 1994. Now, 1991 did not just have The Jungle Book, The Rescuers Down Under, and Robin Hood getting releases. After years upon years of people wondering, wishing, and hoping that Fantasia, which up until 1991 had been deemed one of the supreme untouchables, was finally released on home video on November 1st, 1991. As you can tell, there is no sign of the Walt Disney Classics logo on it, or on the tape in general, but when you play it, there is a Walt Disney Classics logo preceding this tape, or preceding the film. Now, Fantasia was only available for distribution in the United States for 50 days, which is a practice that I'm surprised Disney has not done as much about. We have a little ancillary thing about Simply Mad About the Mouse. I don't know why, but it's there. Fantasia was only available for 50 days on home video. August 19th, 1991, Christmas lead. The weird thing is, because of this, you would think that Fantasia would not have sold well, but it did. It outsold everything and became the highest selling videotape of all time upon its return to the Disney Vault. So much so that this began a trend where Disney, year after year, would release a title that would outsell the others released before it. So Fantasia would be outsold by 1992's big release. 1992's would be outsold by 93's, and then 93 by 94, and then 1995's was the highest selling videotape of all time, even to this day, so there's that. But it's something that I expect Disney should have done more often. Instead of doing like, oh, we'll just release it for like a year or so, say, okay, you've got exactly this many days to get Fantasia on home video, or this many days to get Aladdin on home video. And if they did that, I think they would sell a lot more copies, but those hardcore limitations make them sell a lot of copies, and sometimes it just doesn't work. Like, heck, when Lion King got re-released in 2011 to theaters, they said it was only going to be there for 2 weeks, but because so many people saw it, Disney kept it going week for another week, because it kept being the number one at the box office, because, I mean, The Lion King is one of the most beloved films of all time, so you'd think Disney would have taken advantage of that, but not really. Lastly is my unopened copy of Fantasia. Unopened, and it is going to stay unopened. As you can tell, it was being sold at a grocery store for $17. The final release of this original masterpiece. It was supposed to be sold for $24.99, but it was sold for $16.88. Probably because this is one of the last few of the release that was available. Again, you'd think that they would take advantage and try to maximum sell it, but evidently not. But that wraps up 1991, arguably Disney's biggest year to date. It would only get bigger in 1992. I can keep saying that because, well, it does keep getting bigger. Stay classy, YouTube. We're not done yet.